Are you all able to hear, or should I get my headphones?
This is good, Swamiji.
Yes? No?
Yes, Swamiji.
We can hear.
You're able to
Yes.
hear? Okay.
Yes.
So I don't need my new earrings. So that is good. ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Now, let us look at where we are. I think we determined the pages last time. I think in the English Bhashya, it is on the page 76. And if somebody would share the English Bhashya in the chat pod, that would be nice. And in the Sanskrit Bhashya, it is on page, what is that, 283. Okay, the top of 283. Ramakrishnan ji can repeat, so we will take it from there, because last two classes we have had a very thorough overview of whatever we may have missed, in terms of the understanding and in terms of being brought up to date. We have had a very thorough overview. So now all that is left to do is to catch the Bhashya and then go from there further. Catch the Bhashya and go further. Okay, so without much ado, let us look at that. So the context, just briefly, the context that we are looking at is the following. We are looking at the fact that the vritti which is available. Just a minute, somebody is at the door. Maybe they want to attend class in person. I don't know. Let me look. Either the wind or an invisible person. So we have seen thank you for sharing the English Bhashya, and then somebody can also share the Sanskrit one, if you don't mind. That will be nice. Somebody can do that. And the Sanskrit one, it is page 283. Now the thing is this, that we have gone all from the micro to the macro. And this journey from the micro to the macro has been very grand. On the micro level, That is, from the standpoint of this body, mind, sense complex, we have seen in great detail how the areas of identification as I. So the body becomes a source of identification as what? I. I is equal to the body. I is nothing but the mind. I is just the senses. So this kind of an identification, and and so we go from that identification and we jiggle that identification to know that body is nothing but I can never be the body. I transcends the body, but the body is included in I. I is not included in the body. Same thing with the mind, prana, manaha, and then the sense of doership, the sense of done in ship. Like somebody did this to me, I'm the recipient of the other people's action. I am the agent of action for other people. All these things have been nicely dislodged. Then what are you? You are just Chaitanya. And for lack of a better translation, pure consciousness. I mean, consciousness has to be pure. There is no such thing called impure consciousness. So where are we talking about pure consciousness? That is totally silly. But still, we are constrained to say this because of the fact that as we will see, this is the whole charcha here. The discussion is this only, that the so-called consciousness, the so-called pure consciousness means unassociated with anything. So when we talk about, when we say Shuddha Chaitanya or pure consciousness, it is just to be able to distinguish it from that which comes in the package, like body is Chaitanya. Chaitanya is not the body. And mind is nothing but the presence of Chaitanya, where the mind recognizes itself, etc. And the Ahamkara is nothing but Chaitanya. Senses are nothing but Chaitanya is not any one of them. This has to be told. So from the macro associations of the body, mind, sense complex, the errors were shown and we went to the macro level, from the micro to the macro. And in the macro level, this same consciousness that was endowed with another upadhi, another set of upadhi as all knowledge, all karana, all power, Shakti to project, Shakti to bring out, to create, to project, to sustain, and to take back. All these Shaktis belong nothing other than to Brahman, and these Shaktis themselves, like everything else, body, mind, sense, complex, etc., Shaktis are also mithya. All that is Satyam is this consciousness alone. So this is in brief, the context in which we are looking at. Now, further, let us see the Bhashya. So, okay, hold on. So, top of page 283. Nahi anyatra upalabhyate brahma निर्विशेषत्वात् विशेष संबंधो ही उपलब्धि हेतु दृष्टः. Up till here we have seen. And just to catch up, nahi anyatra upalabhyate brahma. You cannot find this Shuddha Chaitanya, this consciousness, anywhere else. Anyatra means buddhihi sakashat anyatra, other than the buddhi. Buddhi is what? The place where Brahman is recognized. And in fact, this is the source of confusion because, as I said in the last class, we don't have two buddhis. One for recognizing Brahman and the other one for recognizing chocolate cake. So, we don't have two buddhis. How many buddhis are there when we last checked? So, There's only one buddhi, thank God. And thank God there's only one buddhi, because even to manage that is difficult enough. So if there were two buddhis, one to recognize Brahman, one to recognize Nirvishesha, and one to recognize Savishesha. Savishesha means Brahman along with attributes. So Brahman, that is as though endowed with attributes. So if there were two buddhis, we would be in a terrible fix. In a way, maybe it would have made life easier also. We don't know, but we would have been in a terrible fix if there were what's its name, buddhis. So we have one buddhi, one and only buddhi. And in this one and only buddhi, I recognize the object. In fact, not just one object. Whole day long, I am recognizing objects. Ghata, Patha, Mata, all these things, one thing after the other thing after the other thing. I'm keeping on recognizing objects, keeping on recognizing objects. All the time I'm recognizing what? Objects and objects and objects only. I'm recognizing objects. And then, then what? So if I'm recognizing objects, where do I recognize the subject? In the same buddhi alone, I'm recognizing the subject also. The subject being self-evident is not recognized as an object. So the two recognitions, namely of the subject and the object, are slightly different. Object recognition involves two operations, and this we have seen before, but it is worth looking at one more time. So the object recognition involves two steps. First, this is a technical term, so I will explain, so don't get worried. The first step in object recognition is, let's say I'm looking at this pen. So I say, somebody tells me, would you like to have this pen? And I haven't yet looked at the pen. Would you like a pen? I have a nice pen I want to give you. Would you like this pen? I don't know. I haven't a clue what kind of pen they have to give me. I have no clue. All right. And so, but at the same time, I know what a pen is. A pen is a writing instrument. I know that. And I have seen many, many pens in my life. So what does my buddhi do? It grows a pen instantly, without water, without fertilizer, nothing. It just has grown a adult pen fully. A fully grown pen forms in my buddhi. Then the person wanting to give me a present shows me the pen. All right. And then I see, oh, it's not really an ordinary pen. Why? Because it has many, many features. Here is a level, so if you want to see if something is, I don't know if you can see it, if you want to see if something is level or not, then, you just keep the pen, and then there are two black lines, and in between there is a bubble. So if the bubble is in between two black lines, something is level. And so this kind of pen I have never seen. It's a new pen. And the features do not stop there. Then they tell me that this side you can measure centimeters, the other side you can measure inches. And as I'm saying, oh, this is a very, very special pen, then they say in the front of it is a ballpoint pen, behind it is a stencil which you can write on your iPad or tablet. You can write, can just turn the pen around, it becomes a stylus. And then the features don't stop there. Then after that, I can open the top, and then I have a Phillips screwdriver, ready-made Phillips screwdriver. Then I say, oh, I don't want a Phillips screwdriver. I want a plain screwdriver. Do not lose heart. And then I can just take it out. There's a magnet there, so it sticks. The other side is a plain screwdriver. Okay. And then so I can have the plain screwdriver. I can have that. And then don't ask the next question, does it make morning coffee? Probably not. Okay, maybe the next the next gen of the pen may do that. This one doesn't do that. But you see, now the pen I had in my head, all right, and the pen that was shown to me is what? Miles apart. The pen in my head was a regular old pen, Sada pen. Sada means just a plain pen. No, nothing fancy, because after all, we are not looking we are not looking for what? Taking out screws and all that. We are looking mainly for writing. So I am thinking of the pen primarily as a writing instrument, and so that's what I conjured in my head as soon as the word pen was said, because the word cannot be uh, divested from its meaning. The word and meaning are like Shiva and Shakti. They cannot be removed. Page number 283. Yeah, top in the Sanskrit Bhashya. Somebody asked for the page number. So anyway, so then they cannot be removed. So now I am confronted with this pen. So what does my buddhi do? Seeing this fancy and special pen, the buddhi has to make a lot of readjustments. So then the buddhi goes and captures all the features of this pen, brings back the information, as it were. How does the buddhi go? Buddhi cannot go. The buddhi uses the eyes to go. And then, and so the eyes, or if it was a sound like a tune in a raga or some melody, then the buddhi would go via the ears. So here the buddhi goes through the eyes because it's an object of sight, and then it brings back the correct information. And then I say, aha, I know this pen. I say, I know this pen. So that is how that is the second step of the cognition. First is vritti vyapti. So the buddhi goes, wraps itself around the object to be cognized, and then bring back the information, and then phala vyapti. Now I can say, I know this pen. This is exactly how the cognition that takes place. It's a two-step cognition. Now, the same buddhi is what? Is being used to recognize the itself as well, the truth of itself, consciousness as well. So, in recognizing consciousness, then we have a problem. And this is what is pointed out here. What is the problem in recognizing consciousness? Two problems. The pen is available everywhere. You can get the pen here, you can get some other fancy pen somewhere else, no problem. But consciousness is available only in the buddhi to recognize, and so it cannot be recognized any other way. And same thing with other objects also, really speaking, ultimately the buddhi is what is required to recognize this. And so he says, Adi Shankara says, Nahi buddhehe sakashat, other than the buddhi, anyatra upalabhyate brahma. This Brahman is not available anywhere else. Why? Nirvisheshatvat. The very beautiful connection is given. Nirvisheshatvat means because of not having any attributes. Nirvishesham hi Brahma. This Brahman doesn't have attributes. So therefore, the question of recognizing it anywhere else or in any other form does not arise, even in the slightest bit cannot arise, does not arise. It is just not possible to recognize anywhere else. Because if it were possible to recognize anywhere else, it would be, but then there is only one place where everything is recognized, and the buddhi, and this buddhi alone becomes the upadhi, becomes the place of the recognition. So then, therefore, the pravesha we talked about, this is coming at the end of the pravesha shruti, where pravesha shruti means where Brahman has entered the whole blessed creation. The whole blessed creation, Brahman has not only created all the names and forms, but entered them as well. And so, in entering all these names and forms, has as though blessed and animated those forms. Those forms become attractive, not because of their own attributes, but because of the attributeless Brahman blessing the attributes and making them shine. Like even the peacock feathers, the iridescent peacock feathers are an optical illusion. Actually, because of the way the sun shines on them and everything, they shine in these iridescent colors. Otherwise, apparently, they are quite dull. If you take away the light, if they are analyzed, they are just a optical illusion. They shine in the presence of the sun. And so too here, Brahman also shines in the buddhi. So because it doesn't have its own vishesha, it doesn't have its own vishesha. So therefore, buddhau eva, asyam eva guhayam, because now it is coming totally back, because we saw in the beginning, Brahmavit apnoti param, and then yo veda nihitam guhayam, the one who knows that this is that it is in the guha. It is in the guha means what? It is in the cave. In what cave? The buddhi is a cave. We have seen why the buddhi is a cave, and so no need to go there, because in the buddhi, Brahman is often not recognized, and so therefore it is covered with darkness of ignorance. That's why it is likened to the cave. So therefore, tat praveshaha prakalpyate. Like even, so it was said nihitam guhayam. So, therefore, this Brahman being available in the buddhi, which is like a cave, is what is pointed out here. That is the purport of the Pravesha Shruti. This particular Shruti, which talks about Brahman being everywhere, in every name, in every form, in your buddhi, outside your buddhi, everywhere. And so the so-called entry of Brahman in all places at all times, this is what we call Buddhau Praveshitaha Atma. This Atma, which is quote unquote made to enter in the sense of recognition. In order to help recognize the Atma, where should it be recognized? In the Buddhi. Tatraiva, in the Buddhi alone, Upalabdhavyaha, it has to be understood. So therefore, nahi anyatra upalabdhyate brahma, as he says. So in other than the buddhehe sakashat, except for the buddhi, brahma chaitanyasya anupalambhaha. So this Brahma Chaitanya, this Shuddha Chaitanya, this pure the cognition without an object, this consciousness is not available anywhere else. So this is the first point of we have learnt as a result of this. Studying the Pravesha Shruti. Pravesha Shruti means that portion of the Upanishad which we just finished studying, where the entire universe is just nothing but Brahman, the quote-unquote entry of Brahman into all names and forms. That portion is called Pravesha Shruti. So this Brahma Chaitanya is what? If this Brahman is this Jnanam, Jnana Swarupa, so this Brahman is Chaitanya Swarupa. Whereas it be available in the only place where everything is recognized. So Buddhau eva upalabhyate. Why? It has no particular vishesha. It has no substantive to be with which it is associated, and because of which it can be recognized. So therefore, then that is the first point. This is the second point the Bhashya makes. It's a very, short Bhashya, but very, very deep here. That's why I'm spending time, because we can easily not understand what it means. So we listen very carefully. So the first reason given was nirvisheshatvat. So since it does not have vishesha, So it cannot be recognized as an object. This is the first point he's making. It is recognized in the buddhi, A, and it is recognized, it has to be recognized as oneself alone. There is no other way to recognize Brahman other than myself. Because why? Nirvisheshatvat, because of it being totally opposed to, not totally opposed to, totally free of all attributes. And yet, the second reason he gives is what? When Vishesha Sambandho hi Upalabdhi Hetuhu Drishtah. This is what we love about Vedanta, these frequent and sometimes maddening paradoxes. So, what is a paradox here? You recognize Brahman, all right, where? In the buddhi. And then, how do you recognize it? You have to recognize it along with the Vishesha. You cannot recognize Brahman as an object without attributes. Why? Because that which has no attributes, how are you going to recognize? Tell me. You'll say it looks like this. Well, that means what? It has attribute. It has some looks. Then you say it smells like this. It's Brahman smells like wonderful pakodas. Pakodas means some nice fried stuff. And no, that also you cannot say. Why can't you say that? Because then that is associated with the sense of smell. So it doesn't have a smell. Yattadadrekshamagrahyam avarnamagotram apanipadam bhutayonihi. So this is what is it's called Bhuta Yonihi. It is the source of everything. It is the yoni, it's the birth canal of the entire universe, but it is totally free of the universe. This is a paradox. This is a total wonderful paradox. It is free of the universe, yet the universe is not free of Brahman. And so, in recognizing this Brahman in the buddhi, it has to have what is called Vishesha Sambandha. Don't get confused. I will explain what this Vishesha Sambandha is. So, it is like we saw a little bit of preview last time. And what was the preview? The preview was the Rahu. Rahu is a shadow planet. So, for example, in order to understand Rahu, in order to see Rahu, how will you see Rahu? Rahu is just the meaning of Rahu is shadow. Rahu is a very shady fellow. So, in order to understand shade, how do you say this is a shady place? Let's say on a hot summer's day, you are going for a walk and then you are thirsty and tired and you just want to sit for some time before making your way back. Then you see this wonderful leafy tree with a bench underneath it, very inviting. Then you go sit there. Then you make your way there. You run towards what is called shade. How do you recognize shade? You recognize shade because of the presence of the sun. Similarly, you recognize the eclipse. Eclipse means Rahu. So, if it's a solar eclipse, then the shadow of the moon falls on the sun. We say the Rahu is eating up the sun. Of course, we have to add as though here, as though eating up the sun. And then you recognize the moon also, you recognize the eclipse also sometimes because of the moon. The earth's shadow falls on the moon and we have the lunar eclipse. Something is coming on March 25th. That is the lunar eclipse, which is coming on March 25th. And so the solar lunar eclipse, the eclipse is called Rahu. Why is the eclipse called Rahu? Because it is a shadow. So this shadow is falling on the sun or the moon respectively. And then you recognize the shadow because of the presence of the moon. You recognize the Rahu, the shadow, because of the presence of the sun. If there were no sun and moon, it would not make a difference at all. It would be permanent Rahu. And the permanent Rahu is never recognized. Only that contrast has to be there. The contrast of the opposite, light and shade. So when the light greets the shade, we say that, oh, the light has been swallowed up. But the light hasn't been swallowed up. In fact, it is because of the presence of the light that the shadow is even recognized. So this is what he is trying to say here. So Vishesha Sambandho hi Upalabdhi Hetuhu Drishtah. Vishesha Sambandha means a connection with an object is the hetu, upalabdhi hetu, is the cause, upalabdhi hetu means the cause of recognition, drishtaha, it is seen in the world. Drishtaha means loke drishtaha, it is seen in the world. What? Vishesha Sambandha hi, Vishesha Sambandha means the specific connection. And of course, as though connection. The connection is mithya. We must not forget that. The as though connection is what is important here. The as though connection of what? The subject and the object. The subject are never connected. In fact, the subject is free of all objects. The subject being free of all objects, still the object and the subject, there is a kind of a strange connection. So, Vishesha Sambandho hi Upalabdhi Hetuhu Drishtaha. So, Loke Drishtaha. In the world it is seen. What is seen? Upalabdhi Hetuhu. Upalabdhi Hetuhu means the cause of understanding, the cause of recognition. Vishesha Sambandha means the cause of recognition of Brahman in the Buddhi is because of the Vishesha. It cannot be recognized as an object. So then you look at the object and then you recognize Brahman, just like you recognize shade after looking at the source of light. That's all is said here. After looking at the source of light, then only you can appreciate the shade. So this Vishesha Sambandha is necessary. How is it necessary? It says, he says the following. What does he say? How is it necessary? See, this Rahu, Ketu, etc., shadow planets. So the shadow means when are you going to see the shadow? Only with reference to the moon and the sun, without which you cannot see the shadow. So this is the Chandrarka Rahoho Sambandha. Next line. Yatha Rahoho Chandrarka Vishesha Sambandha Asti. We have to add. So Rahoho, for Rahu, this is the shadow planet. Chandra, moon, Arka. Chandrascha Arkascha Chandrarkaha. So this Chandrarkau. So this Chandra and Arka together, sun and moon together, they become the cause. The Rahu becomes the sun and the moon become the cause for seeing Rahu, even though we are not told to see him in the eclipse. So just like the sun and the moon become the cause for seeing Rahu. Why? So Vishesha Sambandha. What is the Vishesha here? Sun and the moon are the Vishesha in order to see Rahu. Vishesha means a specific, that which has attributes. Rahu is not a substantive. Rahu cannot be recognized by itself. So only when it doesn't have its own Vishesha, its own attributes, so it has to be recognized only with Sambandha Vishesha or Vishesha Sambandha. So similarly, Shuddha Chaitanya, how are you, that's why, we keep talking about quote unquote pure consciousness. How are you going to recognize pure consciousness? Not possible. Its sambandha in the buddhi means its vyakti. Because it is manifest in the buddhi, then alone it can be recognized. That is why it is said nowhere else it is available other than the buddhi. Because it is manifest, it has abhivyakti in the buddhi alone. And So, but then how is it recognized? It is recognized through the buddhi vrittis. Vritti means what? Vritti means a mental state. It could be shanta vritti. I feel so calm and peaceful. Okay, make that past tense. I felt so calm and peaceful until you came along, somebody says. And so therefore what? There was a recognition. What was the recognition? The calm vritti. I am calm. It's a recognition. Even though the word I is used, it means that there is a mental state in the buddhi, the emotional state is that of shanti, freedom from annoyances and sources of annoyance. Like Pujya Swamiji used to say, bugs and bugging people, freedom from bugs and bugging people. And so here, what is recognized? Now I have Shanta Vritti. And then I get triggered and I get angry. So when I get triggered and angry, what happens? Then I have Ghora Vritti. Ghora Vritti means I am like a volcano. I am spewing anger like a volcano. That is Ghora Vritti. The Ghora Vritti comes to light because of which consciousness alone is called Shuddha Chaitanya. But the Shuddha Chaitanya cannot be recognized by itself. So it is there in Ghora Vritti. It is there in Shanta Vritti, calm demeanor and terrible demeanor. It is there in the sad Vritti, sad demeanor and sad temperament. Also what? There is the presence of Chaitanya. So whether it is the Shanta Vritti or any particular object Pratyaya, it is the truth, the content of the Vritti is Brahman. That's why Buddhau Upalabhyate and Vishesha Sambandhena Upalabhyate. That is the Hetuhu. Itself it cannot be recognized because there is no particular attribute. Brahman doesn't have eyes, ears, nothing. Being Nirvishesha, you can't recognize it, but being invariable in all situations and all times. You are the thinker, and then you are now what? Thinker. Then after that, I go to have a glass of water. From thinker, I become drinker. From the drinker, I become sleeper. From the sleeper, I become waker. And then I have another online class. From waker, I become teacher. This is how the vrittis and the whole roles keep changing. But the one who is invariably available in all vrittis is what? Shuddha Chaitanya. So yatha raho chandrarka vishesha sambandha evam antahkarana guha sambandha brahmanaha upalabdhi hetuhu syat. We have to supply. So, evam, in the same manner, antahkarana guha sambandha. Antahkarana guha means what? Antahkaranam eva guha. The cave itself is the antahkarana. Antahkarana means inner instrument buddhi. So the connection here is between the connection of pure consciousness, this Brahman in the form of Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that has as though entered the whole universe, but more importantly has entered my buddhi also. So then this connection is there. And what is the connection? Don't say Brahman is the enterer and then I am the place, the locus, the buddhi, the antakarana is the locus of entry. We cannot say that. Why? Because it's a very funny connection. In fact, the word sambandha must be changed to abhivyakti, manifestation. So, antakarana guha sambandha is actually antakarana guhayam abhivyakti. So the relationship, this is the relationship, the invariable presence of consciousness in the Chaitanya Atma. So the Atma so the Buddhi is what? The Buddhi is nothing but a series of vrittis, and then whether it is a quiet vritti, happy vritti, sad vritti, questioning vritti. So we are talking of the invariable presence of this Shuddha Chaitanya, which is Atma, in every cognition. Without the cognition, you cannot recognize the Atma. Just like without the cognition of the sun and the moon, you cannot recognize Rahu. That is a very interesting example full of paradoxes. So that which is the cause of the whole universe has to be recognized along with the things in the universe. Savishesha. Along with the things in the universe, it has to be recognized. And so, therefore, this is the, uh, this is the, this is exactly how to see this. The invariable presence is the buddhi. The invariable presence of consciousness shines in the buddhi. How do I recognize it? I recognize it as the truth of the thinker. So let's say I am the thinker. I am thinking, what shall I do tomorrow? Let's say I'm having that thought. What are some of the things I want to do, I need to do tomorrow? So now what I have become? Thinker. So in the thinker, there are two things. When we take apart the concept of the thinker, there are two things. And all the things that I am doing tomorrow are what? Variable. They come and go in the buddhi. Oh, maybe I'll take a walk. That would be nice. Oh, but I have to do this. Maybe I'll do this. That also will be nice. And then maybe I'll do this. That also will be nice. Is the object of thought variable or invariable? Variable. But then there is something that is invariable, which is looking at the presence of, which is the Sakshi, which is the looker, the onlooker, the witness of all the thoughts. It is invariable. It just says, I. No, no, no. I am, I know, I am, I know, I am. So that is the invariable consciousness. But it cannot be cognized by itself because it is nirvishesha. As soon as I try to cognize it as an object, by trying to associate it with the sense organs or some kind of a notion or an ideology or a philosophy or some words, it just poof goes away. Why? Because I cannot exclude myself. It is the object. So, in every buddhi vritti, in every thought, whatever be the nature of the vritti, including all emotions, sorrow, fear, etc., the presence of consciousness is there. Therefore, antahkarana guha sambandho brahmana asti. Therefore, the association of the buddhi with Brahman is always there. And that sambandha, the connection of the buddhi, meaning the buddhi being blessed by Brahman in order to project each and every thought within, becomes the cause of recognition of Brahman. Because if Brahman is an object, then only one object has to be recognized. But since it is invariably present in all the objects and being the satyam of the objects and the cognizer, the vritti, the ego, then therefore what? It is because of the presence of the object, the subject is recognized. So sannikarshat means ghata upalabdhihi, pata upalabdhihi. For example, when you see a pot or when you see a cloth. So there is what? There is a proximity between the pot to be recognized and the eyes. So if my eyes are closed, I don't see the pot. When the eyes are open, I see the pot. So, Indriya Sannikarsha is there. Sannikarsha means proximity. So, it is there all the time. So, therefore, in this buddhi, the presence of Brahma Chaitanya is already there. And then it doesn't even need Indriya Sannikarsha. It doesn't even need the sense organs. It does not need any sense organ at all. It is already very much there. The presence of the Vastu, Satchidananda Atma, is there all the time. Even before the proximity with the senses, the proximity with the buddhis, etc. So then, that means what? That means within the proximity of seeing the object, then there is a Vishaya Samyoga, there is a connection between the eyes and the object comes to light. And so, therefore, what do we say? This antahkarana itself is lit up by consciousness. That is the number 3. The third thing we need to know is the antahkarana first is blessed by consciousness, and it has been given the portfolio to then go and cognize other things. Antahkarana, don't get confused, it just means buddhi. So the buddhi is blessed to go and recognize other things. Why? Buddhi has received this portfolio by, so to speak, Shuddha Chaitanya. Shuddha Chaitanya has given the Buddhi the portfolio to go and light up other things. So it is already Prakashatmaka. And the buddhi is already luminous in nature, and so therefore because it is blessed by consciousness, and therefore you don't recognize you don't need a particular mindset to recognize Brahman. Why? Because the truth of every mind is Brahman all the time. And so, therefore, this antakarana, this in the antakarana only, the Atma is recognized in and through all vrittis. So, no matter what you see, first you see pot, then you see cloth, the cloth, and the pot may be displacing one another, but still nothing can displace consciousness. So so therefore, the if Brahman is in, Brahman is not displaced. Like for example, you see a pot, and then after you see a cat. After pot, you see cat. Pot gone, cat has come. So, what about Brahman? So, if you think of something else other than Brahman, will Brahman also get displaced? The answer is absolutely not. It is because of the presence of Brahman, even the displacement of the pot and the cat are noticed. The pot cancelling out the cat cancelling out the pot is noticed because of whose Brahman. And since it is nirvishesha, there is, so then we cannot talk about it as an object because it is not available for objectification. And so that means you can't talk about it at all? No, you can talk about it. Means what? Because it is the eye of the eye. It is that which makes sight possible. It makes seeing possible. It makes hearing possible. It is that which is invariable in all consciousness. There is no other consciousness. This is the only one consciousness, which is the truth of the knower, the agent of knowledge, and the object of knowledge, and the means of knowledge. So all three look different, but they are all powered by that Chaitanya, which is totally free of all visheshas. This much is understood. We can try going a little further. यथा च आलोक विशिष्टादि उपलब्धिः एवं बुद्धि प्रत्यय आलोक विशिष्ट आत्म उपलब्धिः स्यात् तस्मात् उपलब्धि हेतौ गुहायां निहितम् इति प्रकृतम् एव. So आलोक विशिष्ट घटादि उपलब्धिः. So like supposing I say, this is a blue pot, this is a yellow pot, this is a blue cloth, this is a yellow cloth. So what is that? This is a upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means this is my cognition. So what is the cognition? Cognition of a form. meaning I'm recognizing color yellow, and then I'm recognizing pot for another form. So I'm recognizing the form in the sense of an object along with its color. So this is so the recognition of form means what? That the cognized object must have an association with light. So first he gave the example of shade, and he doesn't like to stop at shade. Really. You have to throw shade over the shade example. Absolutely, you have to do that. Because otherwise, the shade one will be standing out. Very shady. We don't want that. We don't want the shade example to be standing out. And so, therefore, that shade example, he quietly, he doesn't replace it. So, what does he say? He says, Yathacha aloka vishishta ghatadi upalabdhihi. So he doesn't displace that Rahu example, but he adds something to it. Because there is a certain kind of what we call aruchi. Aruchi means not very auspicious. Not very auspicious to have, to end on the, not very auspicious to end on a shady note. So you always have the example of light. Light is something nice. It is easy to relate to. It is auspicious. It is auspicious because all vyavahara takes place in light. And if the vyavahara takes place in shade, those people go to jail. Yeah, under the table where there is no light, money exchanges hands. Somewhere in the dark, people meet. Why do they have to meet in the dark? If you want to meet a friend, you will not say, come after everybody has gone to sleep, 12:30 a.m. Let us meet under the bridge somewhere in the middle of in the outskirts of the town. Who will say that? Anybody with their senses, with their brain fixed properly, what will they say? Let us just go to a cafe. Let us go to a restaurant. Or why don't you come to my house? Or why don't I come to your house? These are the options. Or let us take a walk in the park or go take a hike or somewhere. And all in the daytime. Why? Because there is nothing to hide. You don't have anything to hide. So therefore, there is not any attempt made to look at some, there's nothing to hide. There's no attempt at, what's the word I'm looking for, subterfuge. There's no need for subterfuge. So then, if you end, similarly here, if you end this whole discussion with a shady example, then there is a little aruchi, because all kinds of nefarious things happen in the dark. And then second, and that is where the association is with the dark also. And then so all things, associations happen. Savitri, if you are following this, page 76 or thereabouts. Okay, yeah. So then in the English Bhashya. So anyway, so all kinds of shady associations are there. Whereas when you think about the light, then it makes everybody happy. Light is life-giving, shadow is not. Things die in the shade. Things go to die there. And but alive means that life-giving light. And so he immediately ends this paragraph on this wonderful note. Yathacha aloka vishishta ghatadi upalabdhihi. So when I say this is blue, this is a blue pot, this is a yellow pot. And um, then what? Then this is a green pot. This is a red pot. This is a yellow cloth, red cloth. So I am in detail explaining the objects along with their form, their color, their shape, their size, all their attributes. How did I come to know? Because the pot came to light. How did the pot came to light? The pot came to light because it was sitting in the sun. That's how the eyes could operate. If it was not sitting in the sun, it was sitting in the artificial light which we use at night. So, the light of the sun, aloka vishishta ghatadi upalabdhihi. The light of the sun lights up the ghata to reveal its neelatvam, its pitatvam. It is its yellowness, it is its blueness, its round shape, its form, etc. How does what happens? The sun lights up the pot, and that same sun lights up the eyes also, and the cognition takes place. But then he goes even a step further. Evam, in the same manner, buddhi pratyaya aloka vishishta atma upalabdhihi syat. Very important. This is very, very important. So, buddhihi, what did he say? Buddhihi, buddhi pratyaya aloka vishishta atma upalabdhihi. Atma upalabdhihi means the understanding, the cognition of I, the cognition of the invariable I in all objects, etc. So, just like a cognized object must have association with light, it must reflect light. So there, because why do I see pot? Because it is in the light, it's reflecting light. Therefore, I can't see in the dark even though the pot may be there. So this aloka sambandha is there. So similarly, aloka vishishta, so aloka vishishta yatha ghatadi upalabdhihi, so too, therefore, the shining pot you see because the eyes pick up only things which have light. So therefore, you see the pot reflecting light. And then in the same manner, the yatha tatha evam buddhi pratyaya aloka vishishta atma upalabdhi syat. So in the same manner, in the buddhi, there is a cognition. That is called buddhi pratyaya. The buddhi vritti itself, the buddhi cognition itself is aloka vishishta. Aloka vishishta means it is conditioned or connected to light. Oh, there is sun shining in my buddhi? No, no, no. A different kind of the sun. The sun of the self, the sun of the Atma shines in the buddhi. So, the light of consciousness, this buddhi is blessed by the light of consciousness, and therefore the buddhi becomes conscious, self-conscious, and then the buddhi is able to cognize all the things become evident to the buddhi. Every single thing becomes evident to the buddhi. The buddhi itself is self-conscious, and so the light of consciousness is in every antahkarana, in every buddhi. The antahkarana is soaked in the light of consciousness in Atma Chaitanya. It is soaked in the light of Atma Chaitanya, Shuddha Chaitanya, just like the pot is bathing in sunlight to be evident to the eyes. Similarly, the light of consciousness is non-separate from the antahkarana. Rather, I should put it the other way. The antahkarana, the buddhi, is non-separate from this light of Atma. Therefore, everything it brings to light. Aloka vishishta atma upalabdhihi. So, this means the Atma Chaitanya is available in the form of cognition. This cognition is this conscious thought and this consciousness that blesses every thought, and this consciousness that is free of all thoughts. Because for it to bless every thought, it has to be free of all thoughts. More we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om That's it.